In 2004, a young nursing student named Maura Murray vanished without a trace after her car accident in Haverhill, New Hampshire. Despite extensive searches and media attention, the case remains unsolved. What really happened to Maura? Join us as we revisit this perplexing case, examine the evidence, and explore the theories that have emerged over the years. Maura Murray was born on August 9, 1989, in 1985 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. She grew up in a middle-class family with two sisters and was described by those who knew her as a bright and caring individual. After graduating from high school, she enrolled at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where she pursued a degree in nursing. On February 9, 2004 at around 3:30 p.m., 19-year-old Maura was driving her boyfriend Jesse back to UMass Amherst after visiting her family for the weekend when her 1996 Saturn sedan went off the road and crashed into a tree in Haverhill, New Hampshire. The accident was reported by a passing motorist who witnessed the aftermath of the crash. Upon arrival at the scene, emergency personnel discovered that the car had sustained significant damage and found Maura lying next to the car. However, she was nowhere to be seen. The only evidence of her presence was a pair of her sandals on the side of the road. And this raised several questions. Why did she leave the scene of the accident? Was she injured or disoriented? Did someone else cause the crash? As dusk settled over the area, Maura still hadn't been located. The temperature dropped below freezing and a massive search effort ensued involving hundreds of local residents, police officers, and state troopers. Despite their efforts, there was still no sign of her, and she was officially declared missing. As days turned into weeks and the media picked up the story, speculation began to mount. Was this a case of a runaway teenager who had staged the accident to escape her problems, or something more sinister? To this day, it is unclear whether or not Maura ever left the scene of the crash. Investigators cannot determine if she had planned to abandon her car and hike to safety, or if she had run away out of fear or panic after the accident. Her car was examined for evidence of foul play, but nothing was found. It had no signs of forced entry, and there were no obvious indications that a struggle had taken place. Some investigators wondered if perhaps the whole thing was staged, that Maura had deliberately crashed her car in order to disappear. But this theory didn't hold up. Medical experts said that the accident was most likely real based on the damage to the vehicle. It seemed unlikely that anyone could fake such an impact and then run away from the scene. Others believed that maybe she had become disoriented after the accident and wandered off into the snowy woods never to be seen again. This seemed plausible since the area where the car crashed was heavily wooded, and there was a lot of snow on the ground at the time. But as the days went by and the searchers scoured the area, they came up empty. Maura's disappearance became one of the most baffling mysteries in recent memory. In the years following the accident, many people came forward with strange stories about the day they saw Maura, but none of these stories were corroborated by evidence. In early March 2004, a man contacted the police saying that he had given Maura a ride in his logging truck after the accident. He claimed that she had asked him for help and had gotten into his truck willingly. He drove her to a diner about 30 minutes away and she left his truck on foot. This was the last confirmed sighting of Maura. But why would she get into a logging truck driven by a stranger? The man passed a lie detector test, but his story was inconsistent and there were no witnesses to corroborate it. As the investigation continued, police discovered that Maura had sent several text messages from her cell phone prior to the accident. The recipients of the messages included her boyfriend, Jesse, her roommate, Melissa, and her friend, Justin. The contents of the text messages were innocuous and indicated that Maura was simply heading home after spending the weekend with her family. She made no mention of any problems or concerns. This led investigators to conclude that she was not suicidal and had no plans to harm herself. Another piece of evidence that emerged was a videotape of the accident itself. A state trooper had followed Maura's car for several miles prior to the crash and had activated his Cruiser-S video camera in preparation for a traffic stop. The footage showed that the accident occurred suddenly and without warning as Maura's car veered off the road and slammed into the tree. There was no indication that she had been distracted by a cell phone call or had been deliberately trying to crash the vehicle. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, rumors continued to swirl. Some people believed that Jesse was involved in Maura's disappearance, while others suspected that there was more to the accident than met the eye. Theories ranged from foul play by a stranger to voluntary disappearance, but ultimately, none of these theories were ever proven. There are a few factors that make this case particularly perplexing. First, there is the lack of a body. Even in cases where individuals go missing under suspicious circumstances, it's not uncommon to find their remains eventually. The fact that Maura's body has never been recovered makes it difficult to determine what really happened to her. Second, there is the absence of a clear motive. While some may speculate that she ran away due to relationship problems or academic stress, there is no concrete evidence to support this. Her close friends and family insist that she wouldn't have just disappeared without telling someone. Third, there is the bizarre behavior of certain individuals involved. The cryptic text messages and the conflicting accounts of witnesses have led to speculation that there may be more to these individuals than meets the eye. Could they be hiding crucial information or even be suspects in the case? One prevailing theory is that Maura was a victim of foul play, perhaps abducted by a stranger while she was stranded on the side of the road. This theory is supported by the fact that her body has never been found, and that there were several registered sex offenders living in the area at the time. However, there is no evidence to suggest that the accident was anything other than a random event, and there were no signs of forced entry into her car. Another theory is that Maura intentionally crashed the car and then either froze to death in the forest or was taken by an animal. This theory is less likely given the medical evidence available, which indicates that the accident was most likely legitimate. Additionally, it's unusual for a person to survive such a traumatic crash only to vanish without a trace. A third theory is that Maura was disoriented after the accident and wandered off, becoming lost and subsequently perishing in the harsh winter conditions. This theory is supported by the fact that she was wearing light clothing at the time of the accident and the temperature dropped below freezing overnight. However, this theory doesn't explain why she would have left her car or why she was found during the extensive search efforts. In conclusion, the disappearance of Maura Murray remains one of the most baffling mysteries in recent times. Despite numerous theories, the truth of what happened to her continues to elude authorities and investigators. Her sudden vanishing act after a seemingly routine car accident has left a trail of unanswered questions and speculation. While the case remains open, the hope for answers has not faded. The dedicated efforts of those involved in the investigation, coupled with the unwavering support of Maura's family and friends, serve as a reminder that the pursuit of justice and closure is a long-term endeavor. Advancements in forensic technology and the willingness of new investigators to revisit cold cases offer a glimmer of hope that one day the truth will emerge. Though the years may pass and the details may fade, the determination to unravel the mystery of Maura Murray's disappearance remains steadfast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel for more updates. Your support allows us to keep bringing you intriguing cases like this one. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay curious.